Deku from there on looks at everything different. Not smiling, not laughing, and not joking around. He almost got his class and teacher killed. If it wasn't for All Might, it would have been all over. Deku sits in class but doesn't learn anything. A blank face and a blank mind. His injuries stung, but not with pain. He's spiraling. Aizawa notices this once he comes through the door. He knew it would be bad, but not this bad. He explains the next situation. The sports festival. Everyone's hype, except Deku. They all go to lunch, but Deku is held back by Aizawa after class. He sits him down and asks him what really happened at USJ. Deku explains it all, and then he blames himself for Aizawa and the class's injuries. Aizawa hears him, reminding him of a younger version of himself. Kid, I'm gonna need you to come with me. They walk together and reach the outskirts of the UA border, the forest tucked away in the deep depths of the grounds. Deku looks on. Aizawa speaks. You're obviously not in your right mind right now. The UA Sports Fest isn't going to be anything good for you, at least not yet. They sit and chat for a while, Aizawa explaining Shirakumo's situation and how he felt. When I was at my lowest, I'd sneak over here and train. I think you should do the same. Deku agrees, going in and not coming back out. He sleeps there, eats there, and lives there for a full month, skipping the sports festival and the internships. By the way, Ida gets saved by Todoroki in this, realizing he was weak after seeing Deku getting smacked by the Nomu, breaking his ice. He would train with Endeavor willingly. Anyway, Deku would come out having made a breakthrough with his power. He finally feels he can stand next to his class once again. Far away at All For One's compound, Shigaraki sulks. He's still beating himself up over the loss to All Might and that brat with the rubber powers. He wanted him dead. He wanted the whole world dead. The doctor knew it was time. His time for his metamorphosis. Shigaraki is offered a new power and accepts. Deku wasn't the only one getting stronger. From there on, the League of Villains and All For One goes silent. No interruptions during the training camp or Kamino Ward. Deku arrives at the class after a whole month, and the class is silent as he walks in. The scar on his head from the Nomu's shot. He was taller, thicker. No, did he? There was a noticeable difference. Bakugo was the first one to speak up. Heh, finally decided to show up. Done sulking. His way of trying to lighten the mood. I wasn't sulking. I was training. Aizawa interjects. Anyway, enough of these two. As promised, the training camp is next week. Well, for everyone who passed this is. They all get excited. Their next step to becoming a hero. The class is sent to do some training. Deku watching from afar as the class shows off their improvement to their moves. He's impressed, being a sparring partner for Bakugo as they both train. He can tell they've gotten stronger too. The next day, they're packed and ready to go to their training. Deku sits next to Bakugo and they chat for a little bit. Deku explaining where he went and going a little into detail about how he trained. Bakugo is shocked by this. Seeing the scar over his body, he gets flashbacks from the USJ. Behind them, Todoroki stood completely frozen. This had taken a toll on him too. He needed to get stronger. They made their way to the top of a mountain overlooking the training camp facility. The teachers chat between themselves before the bus stops. Not good. The class gets out and the teachers start unpacking. They look on and listen in horror as the teachers explain what's happening and about the tasks that they have to come up with. Before they even finish, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki rush right down, disregarding their teachers, straight away bolting off the forest. Well, for the rest of you, be there by sundown. We might have to get a move on. The teachers load back onto the bus and the rest of the class jump down. They met with dirt monsters staring back at them, with the three students that jumped down about 5 seconds ago being nowhere to be seen. About a kilometer ahead, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku rush forward. Deku sitting in gear 2 would destroy a dirt monster left and right. Bakugo and Todoroki just trying to keep up with him. They continue on the forest for about an hour until the three of them finally make it to the end. Bakugo and Todoroki half dead, and as Deku talks with Aizawa and the cats, they give him props for his quirk and how strong he is. Aizawa ensures them they haven't seen the half of it. For the rest of the class, they arrive about 4 hours, completely dead and borderline limping. The three had time to cook and have a nap in that time. They met together and day one ends. Day 2 begins and they are straight away put onto training. Deku in this timeline would be focusing on keeping his gears active longer, getting to the point where he doesn't get drawbacks except for mild tiredness from Gear 2, along with no more shrinking from Gear 3, being able to use Gear 3 but not spam it. Aizawa was impressed by his progress, asking if there's any more. Deku grins. Day 3 would start. Day 3 would start. Deku and Aizawa once again training together. Deku in this time focusing on something a little different, focusing on keeping his techniques active for longer, minimizing the impacts on his body. Though his new technique had been borderline All Might strength, but it can only be kept active for about a minute or so, and after it's complete, it's game over. They work on this throughout day 3. On, off, sleep, eat. On, off, on and on. Constantly training all day. Aizawa, using his quirk on Deku every now and then, would force him to cancel the technique, him to get to his limit higher. He has a constant strain on himself, constantly pushing himself to newer heights, something that would come very useful for the upcoming battle. The nighttime of day 3 comes up and Deku, super tired, would take a little nap instead of hitting the showers, actually sleeping in a while the rest of the class does their haunted forest activity. Aizawa thought he deserves it. This is until something goes horribly wrong. They're interrupted by someone. Smoke coming from the forest. The heroes are on high alert. Students scattered throughout the forest. This was not good. They frantically rush around trying to find them, using their telepath quirk to relay the message that the students can fight back. Deku would also get this message, shaking himself awake with a smile on his face. He rushes out of his sleeping quarters, rushing up the mountain to get a good look at everything, and instead, finding a kid sitting on the ledge, he approaches slowly. Yo, what are you doing here? The kid turns and looks at him. He was crying, scared of the message he got ringing in his head a second ago. Deku comforts him before hearing a crack and a sound to his left. A man with one eye stepping out, muscles bulging from all around his body. So I wasn't dreaming. Muscular laughs. Dreaming? This is your worst nightmare. He lunges at Deku. Deku opens his eyes wide as he would push Koda out of the way before activating Gear 2. They clash together and Deku staring him out of the eyes. They clash together, Deku staring him in the eyes before jumping back. Jet Spear! His feet plunge deep into the muscles of Muscular, who stares at him and laughs. Deku lands on the floor. Wow, that was a good kick, kid. Now it's my turn. He wraps himself in even more muscles, blocking his fist back before throwing it right at Deku. Deku barely dodges. He would jump back once again, grabbing Koda before stretching his arms out and putting him on a far rock away. His arms shoot back to him as his grin grows on his face. Well, no collateral now. Now the collateral's out the way. He brings his arm up, readying his teeth as he bites deep into his arm, wincing in pain before taking a huge breath in and blowing. Deku's muscles twitch and stretch in his body as he grows and stretches, reaching All Might's size and frame. Gear 4. A white smoke emanates from his body as he stares down at Muscular. Deku clocks his arm back, sinking it into itself. Muscular stares on. What the hell? Before he finishes, Deku throws his arm out. Gum Gum Bazooka! It connects with Muscular and completely shreds his muscles away, slamming him against a rock. He's straight away knocked out. Deku breathes out, the smoke from around him slowly dissipating as he drops to one knee. He breathes heavily, his entire body in pain, but he continues on, grabbing Koda and rushing him back to the classroom. Meeting Aizawa there, who was currently fighting Darby. Deku, without thinking, sends a right, smacking Darby in the head, who disappeared to a mush. Aizawa's glad to see him, but knows he's already used Gear 4. They rush off together and meet with the classmates after classmates before meeting with Todoroki and Bakugo. In this timeline, Todoroki is taken. Deku, not even thinking that this was a possibility, let his guard down. They immediately teleport out and 1A faces a huge defeat